Hello, my name is Amanda. I'm a great believer in Jesus Christ, and I am healing from drugs, alcohol, physical, and mental abuse, and I struggle with codependency.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ronnie. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ and walking in recovery from self.
Today, we're going to talk about how to break the cycle or patterns of things when we're first, getting sober or coming back from a relapse. And for me, I wanted to be different. I wanted to do things different. And in order to do so, I had to break those patterns and break those cycles. And ways I did it was not just only changing people, places, and things, but, I had to grow in my spiritual growth. I had to go to Bible studies, classes, because I always believed in Jesus and knew kind of who he was, but wasn't really sure. And, and one way of changing and breaking those cycles was through prayer, asking God to help me daily on my struggles. And instead of running back to my old ways, praying to Him to get me through and to keep pushing through. And with Him guiding me and giving me the strength to do so is how I did it. Without prayer and my relationship with God and learning to grow in Him and finding my identity through Him, I would not be sober today. And I know that. And so prayer was a big, big part of me getting sober and me staying sober because I pray every day. For example, last night, I know this might sound crazy, but I didn't pray before I went to bed last night because I was just so tired from the day. And I had my first using dream last night in my 15 months as of May 4th. Sobriety, I've only had one of those, and it was pretty intense for me. And I had, like, you know, I woke up like, what the heck? I haven't had one of those. What's going on with me? And then I was like, well, I didn't pray last night before bed, and I didn't ask for protection in my sleep, and blah, blah, blah. And the enemy was coming in on me in my sleep last night. And that might sound crazy, but I really believe that was part of it, not praying and asking God to protect me in my sleep. So, um, I know we all forget sometimes, but it was a friendly reminder that maybe I should not do that. But back to the subject, breaking the cycle, changing things around, changing the people in my life, the places in my life. And it didn't all happen at once. My first couple months, I would talk to old friends on the phone because that's what was familiar to me. But slowly through the change, they did, you know, God got them out of my life because they saw me changing and we didn't really have anything in common anymore. Not saying I don't pray for them, or so they might say hey to me and I might say how you doing, and that's it though. And I pray for them all the time, but they're not in my life anymore. So with that, I'll pass on to Ronnie.
Um, yeah, I agree, man. Like, you gotta. When I was in treatment, you know what I mean? I thought this whole thing, talking about the lapse before the relapse, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what Celebrate Recovery is the lapse, is them old behaviors coming back that lead to a relapse, or you know what I mean, which, a lot of people call a relapse a slip. I don't. It's a death sentence almost, you know what I mean? Like, I call it, let's call it what it is, and let's not soften our words about the word slip, but changing them old behaviors. Like Amanda used the example, I'll use the example, like, through this, giving back the last year and everything I did, I overcommitted a lot. And what did I do in addiction? I didn't show up to anything. You know what I mean? I always broke my commitments. I would even tell my drug using friends, like, hey man, I'll be there. Wouldn't show up. You know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't benefit me, I wasn't there. Um, but like I overcommit, and that's one of my struggles, you know what I mean? But when I do it, like, you know what I mean, like 3 days in a row, I call my sponsor, and this is one of the benefits of using your sponsor. Like, hey man, I'm doing this, you know what I mean? Get in, like Amanda talked about, get in the word, you know what I mean? Like if you're having a bad 3 days and you're not following through with your promises, not, you know what I mean, you're reaching out to old friends and everything. And that's one of the key things, like I think people struggle with finding a sponsor, because your sponsor is going to tell you to cut them old friends off, you know what I mean? And a lot of people don't do it, you know what I mean? Because they don't, it's kind of like giving God your sobriety, but not giving him everything else. Like, hey, I'll keep this, you know. Actually, now that I think about it, like a sponsor is kind of like a lifeline, like through God, you know, like that. Because in order to be your sponsor, they have to obviously be sober, right? And for them to be sober, I haven't met one happy sober person that doesn't have God in their life. So they've got a relationship with God, and so, and they will help you break them old habits, you know. They will call you out on your stuff. Not talking about drug using or alcohol. They will call you out on your bad behaviors that lead to a relapse or going back out. And you just have to change everything. Like, and it's when I'm having like 3 or 4 days like full blown bad behaviors, but not using, okay? Not using. But I'm having 3 or 4 bad days of bad behaviors, okay? Now what I do, it starts to freak me out, because I have a couple years of sobriety, and it kind of freaks me out, like where am I headed? It's kind of, sometimes it gets out of control. But I've learned something, like Amanda talked about, surrendering. Okay, just take a deep breath, sit there and pray, and be like, God, bring me back closer to you. You know, take away, because that them bad behaviors is our will. You know what I mean? And our will leads to relapse. So I stop myself, I breathe, and I get back in the word, you know what I mean? And it's happened 1,000 times along this recovery, you know? Like Amanda talked about, it's not going to happen overnight. It happens gradually. That's why, like, God tells you, hey, the first year, I'm going to make you strong. Then the second year, I'm going to learn and teach you how to apply all this, you know? And with that, I pass.
All right, guys, have a great day.
Bye, everyone.